Hello YouTube, Captain Mac here, and welcome to the highly requested and highly anticipated tutorial on SimToolKitPro. Now if you're scratching your head right now going, what is Captain Mac on about? SimToolKitPro is what it says right here. It's an all-in-one flight simulation EFB. This thing is absolutely jam-packed with features, and the greatest feature of all, it's absolutely 100% free. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. By 100% free, that means not only do you download it, install it, and run it for free, but you don't have to pay to add anything to it. Now, just a little caveat on that. Programs that connect to SimToolKitPro, such as NAVIGRAPH or ActiveSky and so on, those programs can connect to SimToolKitPro, but they are not part of SimToolKitPro. So you do have to pay for those, but they're not actually part of the program, and you'll see what I'm talking about when we dive more into this tutorial. Now, come check out the website. Just type in SimToolKitPro, all one word, in Google. You'll find the website, no problem. Jump on here, take a look at what features it has and all of that good stuff, and you're going to see a lot of that in this video as well, and hopefully we cover everything without any problems. But I do highly recommend right before you download it, go up here, click on the Register tab, and register a username and whatnot for the program. It's not a well, it is a requirement now because with version 0.6 you'll be required to log in anyway. So if you register here first, it'll just make the login easier when you open up the program for the first time. Now, with all of that said, I would like to stress this program is in beta. It is beta version 0.6, I think 01 already. All right, and as with any beta program, there are going to be some issues with it. Now, I wouldn't normally do a tutorial on a beta program, but this one is so fantastic that I decided I'm going to go ahead and not only do a tutorial on the beta, but on the next really big release, I'll do a new tutorial or update this tutorial for any new features and so on. Also, Dan, he's the developer of this program. He is working his tail off to deal with any bugs that come up and so on. So I'll show you where to do it, but make sure that you get onto the SimToolKitPro Discord so that you can get in touch with them if you have any issues. There's tons of information in there, great support through there. You can get a hold of members of the staff. You can get a hold of, you know, obviously all the users of the program, and it's really easy to get questions answered. And if you find a bug, if it hasn't already been addressed in there, you can put it in there. Dan will put it on his list, and he'll get to it on the soonest update that he's able to. He's been cranking out updates pretty fast for quite a while now, and I imagine we're going to continue to see that going into the future. So, with all of that said, enough talk about that. I say we hop into the program and start taking a look at what this thing has to offer. Now, I do highly recommend that you run this program as administrator, which I would recommend for any program, especially related to flight simulation. And once you've got the thing started up, you're going to see this nice little video here, and then you're going to be confronted with the login screen or the screen to register an account. If you already registered an account on the website, you can just log in here, and then you're going to be all set. So listen guys, whether it's right now, maybe later down the road, maybe once you've used the program a little bit or something like that, keep in mind that this program is absolutely free. Dan is not getting paid anything for this program, but it does cost him a little bit, not just to put it together, but to run it as well. So if you're interested in donating, you come down here, click on the donate tab. It's going to give you a little information right here. And then if you want to donate, you can click on the OK button here. It's going to open a donation web page for you, and you can donate directly to him. And I highly encourage you guys to do that. You know, even if it's just donating $1, you know, I'm sure every little bit's going to help him out a lot. And again, he's doing all of this for free. So if you get the opportunity and you're able to, please click on the donate tab here, click OK, and head on over there and give a small donation to Dan. I'm sure he'd appreciate it very much. Alright, once you get logged into SimToolKitPro here, you're going to be greeted with your dashboard. And you can see here, Captain Mac's got 20 flights, 19 aircraft in my fleet, a little over 65 hours. It shows my current location is not applicable. Now, if this is your first time using SimToolKitPro, you're going to have some zeros up here, and you're not going to have anything down here in your flight log. Don't worry about it. I'm going to show you how to make sure you track everything. You've got a map over here. This shows everybody that's using SimToolKitPro right now. When we get to the live map portion, we'll go a little more in depth as to what's on that. But this map is the same as this map here, but there's more that you can do when you actually go to the live map. You've also got the latest news on here from FS Elite, Threshold, and what else? It's just the two of them right now. Looks like just Threshold and FS Elite. You can click on the links here. It'll take you to a web page, and you'll be rocking and rolling. As far as your flight log goes, you can click on the arrow here, and it'll take you right over here to your profile, and it'll give you a bigger log here. We're going to get into this in a little while. We're not going to go through this right now. Now, I've been contemplating the best way to approach this. Obviously, the dashboard is the first thing we want to look at. But I think from here, we're far better off if we start with our settings, and then we can start going through some of the features that are available. Okay, to get to this settings page when you're on the dashboard here, all you have to do, so there's our dashboard, just click right here on settings, and it's going to take you to this page. And you can see there's a whole lot that's going on here. You can select which language you use. You just click the little arrow over here. English is the only one I don't know if there's other ones available. I would have never looked because I use English. Update channel normal. It gives you the information on it right here. Basically, the long and short of this is if you speed this up to fast, which we're not going to do, then you get the smaller updates along the way. But with those updates, you may get some issues, or you can do the normal updates, which is what I usually stick with. When there's a larger update that comes out, it gets updated for you automatically. You can also select your simulators here. You can see I've already selected Prepared 3D, and it's version 3, 4, and 5/FSX. And I'll show you how that works here in just a minute. And then there's the FS 2020 Alpha Experimental, because obviously not everybody's got the program. The developer might not even have FS 2020. I don't know. And then, of course, you've got X-Plane as well. Just put a check mark there. So you can see right now I've got a check mark here, and then I've got settings for that. All right, I'm going to check X-Plane, and now I've got settings for X-Plane. So we'll get to all of these tabs. Hold on. Just coughing in your face. We'll get to all of these in just a minute, but let's continue down with our options that are available here. You can network mode this. So I've never really done that, so I don't know how you set it up specifically. But those of you who use network mode, I'm sure you know how to do it. You select this, and then there's usually there's a port that you have to open and all of that stuff, and I just don't like to mess with that. My computer runs things fine. You can choose your weather source. Now, right now, one of the bugs that's being dealt with is the Active Sky P3D bug, which I talked with Dan directly, and he's going to address it in the next update. So that should be updated soon. But in the meantime, we can still use either STKP or VATSIM weather. And this is not for our Active Sky weather down here, which we'll get to. This is just for weather within this program. So you know, it doesn't affect the use of Active Sky by any means. You can minimize it a tray. I don't like to do that. You've got hardware acceleration. This will fix blurry text and allow it to be captured by OBS, or I forget what the SL is for, but it's still OBS. Window capture. It requires SimToolKitPro to be restarted. I've already got it obviously enabled, because eventually we're going to start doing some streams. And there's streaming tools on here too. We'll get to those, don't you worry. Okay, startup video, I like to have it. I think it looks cool, so I left it there. Automatic login, I've got mine set to auto login. And then what else we got here? We've got our online nickname. This is what I show up as. And then your SimBrief username. You definitely want to put this in here if you're going to use SimBrief for your flight plans. And we'll get into that when we get into flight planning. There's a lot going on here, isn't there? Let's see. Discord rich presence. Legacy live map. I like to use the new one, so I'm going to stick with it. You've got your, you can auto hide. This is the status bar down here. I don't like to auto hide it because I've got my toolbar pops up, right? So if I go down to try and get this to pop up, and then it's just a pain in the butt. So I like to keep it up. And then you've got analytics. My analytics are enabled, hopefully to help out the developers a little bit. All right. So that's everything on your main settings page. Now, if you haven't already done so, grab yourself a cup of coffee, sit back and relax, because we got a lot of ground to cover. First things first, let's just jump to X-Plane. Now, if you want to link this to X-Plane, you're going to have to find your X-Plane. And it says your X-Plane folder. Here's how this works. I've gone through this a couple of times. Click on Find. It's going to pull up your little window here. Okay, go to wherever your X-Plane is. I have a drive dedicated to X-Plane. There it is. Double click, go into X-Plane 11, and then you're going to need to click on the EXE, or the application itself, right? So click on that, click Open, and there, it's mapped, and we're good to go. Okay, as far as other things are concerned, it explains to you right here. Now, I haven't really used this with X-Plane yet. I'm still getting my X-Plane tuned where I want it, but it says by default these settings will work to connect X-Plane if running on the same computer. If you're running on a network computer, enter its host name or IP address in the host box. That would be right here, all right? And then there's a nice big yellow bar here that lets you know this is something to pay attention to. Don't change the port settings unless you're routing the connection through port forwarding or a firewall configured for it, all right? So in other words, don't mess with it unless you have to, all right? We're not gonna run either of these. But if you need to manually install the SimToolKitPro connector plugin, you can view it here. Place the win.xpl in a folder named SimToolKitPro connector in the X-Plane plugins directory. All right, and again, I haven't set it up for X-Plane yet, but it's pretty straightforward, right? And then you can run a connection test as well. And all of that to me is pretty straightforward. All right, now same thing for Prepared 3D. I did the exact same thing to get my P3D location. Now, notice it says FSX folder. If you are running FSX, you're going to select P3D here, because it's also FSX, and then you're going to navigate to your FSX program, and it'll path to that, and it'll work just fine. All right, so keep that in mind. I'm using SimConnect as the method right now. If you use that, make sure you click on Install SimConnect Library. You can also use FSUIPC. It was defaulted to SimConnect. It worked fine for me, and so I left it alone. All right, so it's up to you if you want to use one or the other. But as you can see, it's very simple to link your flight simulators to SimToolKitPro. All right, for these next few settings up here, we're going to go through these pretty quick, all in just basically one section. I'm just calling these some general settings. So for your VATSIM, if you don't want your flight to show up on the live map in SimToolKitPro, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. When we get to the live map here in a little bit, you'll see what I mean by that. Just enter your VATSIM ID here, and it hides it. Same thing for IVAO, FS Cloud, same thing here. You can change how this information appears on the map. If you want to, you can just change these colors and so on. Just click on it, pick the color you want, and you're good to go. I just leave them default. They're fine with me. Same with these range rings. You can adjust them dynamically here, and you're good to go. And that's that. All right. TwitchBot. This is going to have to do with streaming on Twitch. Now, I haven't been on Twitch in quite a while, so I'm not going to try and explain what's going on here. Those of you who are familiar with Twitch and TwitchBot, this is going to make sense to you. If you don't use Twitch at all, if you don't use TwitchBot or anything like that, then you're going to be looking at this like I am right now going, huh? All right, so don't stress yourself about it. Just know that it does work with the TwitchBot here. I don't know what Swift UI is, to be honest with you. I didn't want to bug Dan about it, asking him what it is. I've never even heard of it, so I don't know what that is. If you do, and then here you go. Here's some stuff on Swift UI. But for me, again, I've never even heard of it, so it just means nothing to me. So I didn't even bother looking into it, to be quite frank with you. And then you've got patch notes down here, all right? So this is the 0.60 release. You've got everything that's new, everything that's updated, and then all the things he fixed. I want you to look at this list of fixes, all right? A couple things deleted at the bottom there. Now, we're not going to read through these. I just want you to see. Look at how big this list is. Now, this is not an indication of major problems with the program, but rather an indication of a developer who is absolutely working their tail off to make sure that this thing is working good. And it works fantastic. I rarely have had any issues with it, and they've all been very minor issues. The only one I'm having right now has to do with the weather link between Active Sky and some of the weather features that are available in SimToolKitPro. Again, nothing to do with this tab, which we'll get to eventually. And I let Dan know about it, and he said he's already got it on the list for the next update. So problem solved. So those are just the remaining few things that are left in the main settings tab. Now, I know you're probably thinking to yourself, the settings look a little slim for something that's so feature-rich. Well, actually, I love the way it's set up because you don't have to mess with it a lot. However, there are some more settings and some more things you can do with this, and I want to show you that right down here. If you click on this little cog down here, this manages these tabs right here. All right? So, Active Sky, I just want to be clear on this. I didn't have to do anything to link it to Active Sky. I didn't have to do anything to link it to NAVIGRAPH. I just had to log into NAVIGRAPH. Now, I don't use the Web FMC. I don't even know what that is. So I can just turn that off. Bam, look, it's gone. Just disappeared. If I want it back on, oh, look, there it is. Okay. But what about this? What's this custom right here? What if I want to add something myself? Well, I got a good idea. Let's say I want to use, there's a few of them in here actually. Let's say I want to use Sky Vector on here. Oh, look at that. Click on Sky Vector, links it automatically. Give it a little title here. Sky, whoop, I got my caps lock on. Sky Vector. All right, now watch this. Click OK. Bam. Wait for it. Oh, where are you at? Come on back up. Oh, I didn't turn it on. That's why I'm an idiot. So you put those in there, and then you click the little thing here. There it is. Now it popped up, right? And then if I click on this, hey, look at that. Sky Vector just came up. How friggin' cool is that? And the beauty of that, what makes that even more awesome, is you can do something custom on here, right? Like, let's say I wanted to link to my YouTube channel. Let me come up over here. I could go in here and I could say, okay, I'm going to pick custom, and then I'm going to put the link here for my YouTube channel, and I'm going to type YouTube. If I can type. There we go, YouTube. And then I'm going to turn that on, and I'm going to click OK. And look at that. There's Captain Mac's YouTube channel. How freaking awesome is that, you guys? Look at that, all right? So my YouTube channel just pops right up. Now, it's not logged in, obviously. You could sign in if you want to sign into your own YouTube channel there and so on. Or you can just put Captain Mac's YouTube channel on there so that while you're cruising away at 38,000 feet on a 12-hour leg, you can just pop up the Captain Mac YouTube channel and start watching some videos like, I don't know, the tutorial on SimToolKitPro. How about that? Click the little tab again and it just goes away. All right, so this thing is absolutely fantastic. You can also enlarge or make enable large size tabs, if I can speak. All right. So it makes them a little bigger down there for you. I like to keep them small. I think it works out fantastic that way. All right. So a lot of stuff you can do with this, and you can set up. I mean, as you can see, there's several tabs on here. I don't use Web FMC, so I could just get rid of that altogether, and that gives me another one I can link to a web page if I wanted to. So really good stuff in these tab options down here, and you definitely don't want to miss out on that. Now, I'm not ready to go into these individual tabs yet. Obviously, you know what YouTube is. We just looked at that. We know what Sky Vector is. We'll go into NAVIGRAPH and Active Sky here in a little bit, and we'll also go over the METAR and the TAF down here. But I don't think that's where we're at in this tutorial yet. I think we'll come back around to that. So I want to go back down to the bottom of our list here and just work our way up. So if you click on the Monitor tab here, so right now my aircraft is sitting on the ground. It tells you which aircraft I have. It's in the background. It's running, and I did that so that all the features will work. All right, so you can see that I've got my PMDG 747 8F Atlas Air sitting in the background at Phoenix, and the nearest runway to me is 7 right. It gives me latitude, longitude. The speed at 7 knots probably is just the wind, to be honest with you, because it's not moving. There's no vertical speed or anything like that. Some of this information may just be generic until the aircraft starts moving, and I know that there have been a couple of bugs with this as well, so just keep that in mind. Me personally, I don't really use this for anything, but it's a really cool feature to have in there. Okay, moving on up the list here, we've got the streaming tools section. Now, for those of you who do live streams, which again, I'll be getting back to live streams, and I'll probably be using this too. It links really well with OBS by just using this overlay URL here, and that's the way that Dan has set it up, the developer. And you can choose what shows and what doesn't show, and then you copy this and then you paste it into OBS and you're good to go. You can change the colors, you can change the transparency, and this is what it's going to look like on there. If I were to run this on a live stream right now, this is what we'd be seeing. And I can change all of that stuff as well, and you can change it also using, I guess Twig is a programming thing, I don't know, but this is obviously this is programming here, and I don't know how to do this. I know very little about it. I do know a bit about it, but not much. But if that's something that you're into and you want to make changes in here, you can certainly do that. Hit the little question mark here and it's going to give you some information on it using Streamlabs. That's what SLOBS was, S-L-O-B-S, Streamlabs, OBS, or OBS. You need to add a browser source, and it just gives you the information on it. So you guys can read that for yourself. And same thing over here. It talks a little bit about resetting the contents in this area and so on. So if you make changes and then you delete them, it clears back to the default content. So that's good there as well. And then you've got this CSS, again, something I haven't heard of before, so it's not something I've used. Keep in mind also that as far as this thing goes here, you can change the size of it and the location once you put it in OBS as an overlay. Those of you who are familiar know what I'm talking about. Those of you who are not, you're probably not doing any streaming anyway, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. And you can also show your streaming output folder here. I don't have OBS installed right now. This just opened up off to the side, and it's got information there as well. Again, if you're using streaming and using OBS, this is a great tool for you. Alright, so we've already talked about the donations. Once again, if you get an opportunity, click on the donate tab. Again, if it's only $1 or $2, I'm sure Dan would appreciate it very much. Click on OK. It'll open up a web donation page and you can donate directly to him. And I'm sure he would really appreciate that. So just keep that in mind. Always on top, all that means is if you check that, this window will stay on top of all other windows. So for example, with that off, you see how my taskbar comes up every time I go to the bottom of the screen. If I put always on top, if I check that, the taskbar doesn't come up anymore. And that's all that function is. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, there's a lot of great stuff here. It seems all well and good, but I'm not really seeing anything that gets me excited. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I haven't even gotten started yet. I'm just showing you some of the functions of the thing, how to set it up. Now we're going to start getting into the really good stuff. So let's jump up top here and let's start with the live map. Now, there are a ton of features associated with this map, and some of them we're not even going to be able to see until we get to the flight planning phase, okay? But I'm going to go through what I can for now, and then when we get going with flight planning, we'll get to see more features as well. But starting out here, what you're seeing right now is all the traffic that is online on SimToolKitPro right now. Yes, that's correct, ladies and gentlemen. It's getting quite popular. Now, I'm going to start from the right side and I'm going to work my way over because it makes a little more sense to me. If we go to the options tab here, we got some basic options, all right? First of all, this is the color of your aircraft. That's us in white right there, okay? Then you've got the color for STKP aircraft, VATSIM aircraft, IVAO, Pilot Edge, FS Cloud, and POSCON. And you're thinking to yourself, some of these you probably never even heard of. Don't worry about it. And some of these you're like, okay, that's all well and good, but I don't see any of those on there. Don't worry, I'm getting to that. All right. You've also got your boundaries, your flight plan, which you'll see that once we complete it, airport display, and so on and so forth. So you can change all the colors on here. That's really what it comes down to. All right. So just click Save and Update once you've made your changes on there. Oh, you know what? Let me just show you real quick. So let's say you want to change the color of your plan, your route. You just click on this, pick the color you want, close it out, save and update, and then you're all set. Really simple. All right. Now there are several different styles for this map as well. I've got the dark theme on. I like that. It's not too bright on my eyes. However, there's a light theme. Look at that. Now I will say this, switching between these themes still causes this thing to crash occasionally. Occasionally. It doesn't do it all the time, but once again, this is in beta. Now, if it crashes, just so you know, it will automatically save where you were in your flight. So if you're in the middle of a flight, when you start it back up, it'll just ask if you want to continue the flight. You select yes, and you're all set. No problem. All right. So just keep that in mind if it happens to crash on you. You've got satellite. I like this one a lot. It's a great view. And then you've got your terrain mode. All right. And this one, you know, you zoom in and you really get a look at the terrain, right? Okay. And then we'll zoom back out just so we don't get too cluttered. And you've got your taxi mode, which we'll go into here in a little bit, but not right now, and you'll see why. All right, so let's just put it back on the dark mode because that's where I like to be. All right, moving over here, I'm going to actually, so you've got controls. So if we click follow me, it's going to center on your aircraft every time. All right, and it's going to stay centered on your aircraft while you're in flight. Yes, it does follow you while you're in flight. Okay, you can turn that off so that you can scroll around the map if you want. All right, also keep in mind, if you hover over any aircraft, it's going to give you that username and where they're headed. And I've blurred out that or crossed out or whatever that username so that you can't see it just because I don't know who that is. That's not fair to them. But while you're on here, hover over any aircraft and it's going to show you where they're going, with one exception, yours, because you should already know where you're going anyway. All right. I've never used this reset pitch rotation, so I don't know what that does, but that's probably related to the monitor tools. That'd be my guess. Now let's look at the overlays. You can overlay the weather, rainfall. All right, and you can see it's popping up all over the place. Look at that. That's pretty cool, right? You can overlay day and night cycles. All right, so right now where we're located, right here, it's daytime. And if you're over in, say, Australia, it's the middle of the night. And if you are in Europe, it's late in the day, right? That looks about right to me. Okay, you can overlay that, and you can turn those off as well. You can put on the boundaries. There's a lot going on with the boundaries, so I like to keep those turned off. Eventually, you'll be able to put on VORs, NDBs, major and minor airports, and then I always have my flight plan checked. Then you don't see it right now because we don't have a flight plan, and the reason we don't have a flight plan is because we haven't gotten to the flight planning section yet. Keep that in mind. Turn the day-night function off, and I like to leave the weather overlay on. Now, as far as who's online right now, everybody, so for STKP, it's just flights. For VATSIM, you can choose ATC, airport ATC, and or flights. Now remember our options over here. So for VATSIM, we've got green for their flights, right? So let's close that out. And if I choose flights, look at that. All the green aircraft are people that are flying on VATSIM right now. That's quite a lot. Interestingly enough, I would say that STKP is got not quite as many, but it's getting up there. This program's getting really popular. All right, so you can click on flights and overlay them. If it wants to overlay again, there it goes. You can do the same thing with IVAO, and that'll be a different color. And you can change these colors once again using the options. Same thing with FS Cloud. And eventually you're going to have POSCON and what was the other one on there? Pilot Edge. Both of those will hopefully be on there soon as well. All right, so you can change all those colors right here. You can change the boundary colors, you can change your flight plan color, and then airspace for ATC, you can change the colors of those as well. Now that's a lot going on the map, so we don't want to keep all that on. All right, and you can turn off the STKP flights as well. Give that just a second. There we go. And so then the only flight that's on there is yours. All right. And let's say you want to fly on VATSIM and you want to know where their ATC is. Well, we've got it checked right now, and I hate to say it, but not surprisingly, certainly in the US, there's nobody on VATSIM right now. What about IVAO? Let's check their airspace ATC. Anybody? Nothing. What about airport? For any of them? Somehow I doubt it. That is one thing it's hard to find controllers sometimes, and I get it. It's a volunteer thing, so you can't hold it against them, right? I mean, it's their time, no different than our time dedicated to flight simulation. Anyway, so there you have it. All right, so those are all of your options. Now, keep in mind that's not everything that's available for this map because we haven't put in a flight plan yet. So during the original recording, I had in my head to put this in a different place, but then I actually forgot to show you this anyway. So now I've decided that I'm going to just cram it right in here because it kind of makes sense anyway. Once you have a flight plan loaded in here, you go back to your live map here. You can see that under controls, I've turned off the follow me function. And if you go to overlays and click on my flight plan, bam, there's your route. Now, remember over here in options, we changed the way our route appears. We changed it to green, and you can change that to any color you want, whatever suits you. You can also change the size of the font on all the waypoints there, so that's something to keep in mind as well. And you've got that available to you now. That's all well and good, but that's not the best part here. Let me get rid of this overlay for a minute here. And then there's another version of the map here. Let's go back to follow me and go to style, and let's go to taxi. Now it's going to load it back in. There we go. Now let's zoom in. Check this out. You guys will love this. There's Phoenix, right? It's getting a little. Oh, look at that. There's all your taxiways right there. Now if I turn the follow me off real quick, you can see all your taxiways. And since this is tracking through SimConnect, when my aircraft moves, it'll show me where it's at on this airfield. So if you have a hard time navigating your way around the airfield, even with a chart, sometimes it can be hard. When I'm at an airport that's really complex, I'll pull this feature up, and it helps me to taxi around because you've got all your taxiways are marked here. So it's a great little feature that makes getting around the airfield a lot easier, especially if the airfield is unfamiliar. Just remember that you need to go over to style and select taxi. It wasn't that way before. It looks like these changed the way that works. So make sure you select taxi before you zoom in so that you can actually see your taxiways. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, sweet, Captain Mac, now we're going to dive into the goodies, right? Well, we're already in the goodies, first of all. Second of all, if you're thinking of flight planning, no, we're not going to do that quite yet. And there's a reason for that. Trust me, you're going to thank me for this later. Let's go down to the tools and data section first, all right? And now this is, again, it's exactly what it sounds like, tools and data. And starting here with the airports, all right? Type in an airport. Just pick one. Type it in. I'm going to do Phoenix because that's what I like. But notice how a bunch of them showed up, right? You see that? If you went EG, LL, all right, or just EG, give it a second to refresh, right? So there's 400 airports, 447. What if I typed in, let's see, what's the name of an airport? What if I typed in Charlotte, just as a name, right? So you pick. Well, I'm looking for Charlotte International, right? Or it's Charlotte Douglas. It comes up. So you don't have to just type an ICAO code. If you don't know what the ICAO is for an airport, come in here and type in the name of the airport, and you'll find it. And if you don't know the name of an airport, but you know the ICAO, come in and type that, and you'll find it. But wait, there's more. Click on it. Hey, look at that. There's information on this sucker. All right. So let's start up top here. Here's the ICAO. It's Phoenix. I don't know why it says 0 stands. It's definitely got stands. 6 runways. It has 3, but there's you got 2 ends of each runway, so that makes 6, right? There's the IATA code, the elevation of the airport, transition level for the area. There's the lat and long of the airport. Here's all your frequencies for the airport. Look at this. You got your approach frequencies, your departure frequencies, your ground frequencies, tower frequencies, all of that right here. So if you just need to look up a frequency for Phoenix real quick, hey, guess what? Pull up your SimToolKitPro, go to Tools and Data, click on Airports, type in Phoenix, and bam, there it is. It's also got your runway information. It's got the heading, the length, the width, the slope, the ILS category, and the glide slope for every single one of the runways at every airport that you type in here. How friggin' awesome is that? It's also got the current weather for the airport. Now, when I said that there was a glitch with the active sky weather, this is what I was referring to. This is not using the active sky setting because you remember I had it set to SimToolKitPro. SimToolKitPro is pulling its weather from an online source, I don't know which one, and that's where this is coming from. So you might see that this is a little different than your current active sky weather if you have to do that workaround. But I do know, like I said, the developer, he is addressing that issue, and so hopefully that'll be squared away on the next update. But you've got your wind direction, your gust. There's no info. That means the wind's not gusting. It's just 120 at 6 knots. Temperature is 31 degrees. Dew point's 5. Visibility is 10 statute miles or more. Your altimeter. in both inches and hectopascals. And then you've got your OpenStreetMap up here. You can see there's the airport. And if you don't like that view, well, heck, just click on that sucker and select satellite and look at that. And a nice little map of it right there. All right, and you can do that for any airport in here. Any one of them. Just click on airports again. It saved it right there. Let's say I wanted to look at EGLL. Let's look at Heathrow. Bam, there it is. Look, transition level 6,000 feet. It's got 4 runways. Elevation's 83 feet, 256 stands. Here's all the frequencies for Heathrow. You've got all of their runways. There's 4 total, right? So you've got the heading, length, width, slope, ILS category, glide slope, the whole shebang. Here's the current weather. And hey, you know what? I like the satellite view better. There it is. And you can do that for any airport that's in the system. How awesome is that? And oh, look, it's saved them both there. So basically, I'm saving favorites right now, right? And they were there when I restarted. I just deleted it. So you can just delete it by just hitting the little X there, or you can leave it up there if it's an airport that you use regularly. Now, right next door to that airports tab is your checklist tab. And after all, what EFB doesn't have built-in checklists, right? And you've got them right here as well. And there's several checklists that you can choose from here. They're called default, but they were created by somebody. All right, and if you just select one off the list, say the Boeing 767, there you go. You've got all your checklists. There's pre-flight, before start, after start, before taxi, so on and so forth, right on down the list, right? Let's say you're using a Baron 58. There you go. And this is who created this checklist and then saved it here. There's the Rotate MD80 and so on and so forth. Now you're thinking to yourself, well, Captain Mac, I'd love to fly the 787. I don't see a checklist in there for that. I actually have a checklist for that somebody sent me in an email. I just haven't loaded it in here yet. My bad. But let's say you don't have one, or let's say you want one for a 747. And you've got a paper checklist, but you'd prefer to use a electronic checklist through your SimToolKitPro. Well, you can just create your own by clicking on Add, put in the name of the aircraft, put in whatever you want to put for the author name. So let's just say we're going to do a Boeing 747-8F, and that's going to be Captain Mac, if I can spell. There we go. Select OK. And now, when we get up here, you're going to see it in the list, Community, right? And I need to edit it because there's nothing in there right now, right? So click Edit, Add a Group. Okay, well, here's our new group. What are we going to call it? Let's see. Let's call this, we don't want it to be called New Group. We want it to be called, just because this is what comes to mind. Before Start Checklist, all right? This obviously wouldn't be the first one that you would do, all right? And so there we go. Now it's our before start checklist, and then we need to add to this group, which I haven't actually done this yet, to be honest with you. It looks to me like the button's down here. There it is. So it's kind of hiding from, you know, remember that option to hide this toolbar right here? If you go into settings and you can go auto hide the status bar, watch it disappear. See, bam. And then if I go back up here to tools and data and checklists, all right, so now you can see there, I want to edit this checklist, right? It went away because I didn't save anything. So if this was our before start checklist we were working on, and then so click there and then look, add checklist item. See how that, so that's something, and I know Dan will watch this when he gets a chance, and I'll try to remember to mention it in the Discord, but that's kind of in the way. We could move that. If he moves that up a little bit, that'd be great, right? But add your checklist item, all right, and then you go on here, and what is it? Is it no color, red, blue, and these are just, is it super important, right? So we'll just leave it on none for now, and then you type in the item. So part of the before start checklist would be PAX off, right? So it's PAX, not PAX. And you can put notes in there, like you don't have to turn them all off, right? And again, I'm just doing this. This is real generic, but we want, so if I remember correctly, it's PAX 1 and, let's do it this way. Nobody's going to use this anyway. 1 and 2 off, and then 3 is still on, right? I think. I don't know. I can't remember off the top of my head. All right. And so there we go. And then we could add another checklist item and write on down the list. And then then you'd add another group and so on and so forth, right? And there you have it. It's pretty straightforward. So now the only thing I don't know for sure is where's the save. Oh, I think you just get rid of the edit now. There you go. So now if I go to my before start, there it is. Packs, you don't have to turn all 3 off. 1 and 2 off, 3 on, and there you have it. So pretty straightforward, even though I bumbled through it a little bit because that's the first time I actually did it, but that really shows you that it's pretty user-friendly as well. I stumbled through it a little bit because I'm trying to make a video, but it's not hard to figure out. You can create your own checklists in here. You can save them to the community and so on. Now I'm going to delete this one because nobody wants this checklist, believe me. So I'm going to delete it just like that. It'll be gone. And it's not in the list anymore, and hopefully nobody can access that. Okay, but some folks have done a great job of putting together checklists in here, so the more people that get involved with that and share them with the community, the more checklists that are going to be available, and I think that's fantastic. All right, moving over next door to the checklist feature is the win calculator. Now, this is really great if you're not familiar with calculating crosswinds and stuff like that, or you're not sure which runway to land on. This works out really fantastic. And basically what you're looking at here, some of you may be familiar with it. This is one of the bezel rings on a E6B is what it's called. It's a mechanical flight computer. But basically all you're going to do is you're going to go in here and you're going to type in your ICAO. And then you're going to choose your runway. So right now it's saying the wind is 120. The speed's not 120. That's actually interesting. It's supposed to be at 6. So let's just change that to 6 knots and put that. It's 120 at 6. For some reason they're linking together. Maybe it's because I haven't picked a runway yet. So let's pick 7 left. No, I'm going to be honest, that information is incorrect. At least down here it is. So it's saying that you got a 5-knot headwind and a 2-knot crosswind. So this is correct. The approach heading would be 78 degrees, right? So that's a 4-knot headwind, 4-knot crosswind. That's more accurate, but I don't know why. So the wind direction should be 120 and the wind speed should be 0.6. It looks like those just got linked together somehow. But we do know that the wind direction is 120 degrees. So, and then, yeah, it's just not letting me change that for whatever reason. So that's interesting. So there's obviously, again, there's going to be some little bugs. I'll try to remember to let the developer know about that. But you can see what it's used for here. It's pretty straightforward, and you can use it for any airport. So again, if we used EGLL as an example, all right, and then we'll choose, let's say we're landing on 9 left, all right. It'd be a 12-knot tailwind with a 6-knot crosswind because the wind's coming from the other direction. Or at least it says it's coming from 240. Yeah, 240 at 13 knots, so we'd want to be landing on runway 27. And hey, look at that. Now we got a headwind with a slight crosswind. So pretty straightforward how to use this thing. Not really sure why those two are linking together like they are. But again, I'll try to remember to mention that to the developer when I get done making this video. Okay, on the network tab here, you can see I've got a bunch of names blanked out there. We're not going to scroll through anything like that. But you can see what it says in the search box there. It says to search by name, call sign, or ICAO to filter. And you can basically filter out who's on which networks if you're looking for somebody. Nothing particularly crazy about that. I could select one flight here. And there you go. You get the flight information. And I've obviously got his name blocked off there as well because I don't know who that is, and I'm sure he wouldn't appreciate that. You've got a map here. It shows you where he's at. And you've got his route, what network he's on, he or she, what network they're on, their speed, their altitude, heading, and all of that stuff. So you can pull that information. So if you're looking for a flight for whatever reason, there you go. It's available to you, and you could do. And it tells you what network they're on as well, right? So you can see there it says that they're on VATSIM, and it'd be the same if it was IVAO or POSCON or anything like that. So pretty cool little feature there. Now, I know some of this is taking quite a while here, but I think it's really important because I wanted to show all the features of this. I think that's a huge thing. And I put the chapters down there on purpose. So for those of you who are sticking it out just to see what all these features are, kudos to you. We'll be getting to all the really good stuff here shortly. But these features are still pretty fantastic. This is for importing information from missing flights. So you can do manual import. You can import from Project Fly or FS Hub. And I don't use any of those, and I don't manually import anything either. I'm not too worried about it. I don't know if there's any plans to link this to any virtual airlines, but certainly if they do, I think that'd be pretty awesome, where you could import your flights from a virtual airline into here as well. But if you fly like I do, when I fly for Mac Air, I just put all my flight information in here anyway, and I just run ACARS on the side, so it doesn't really make any difference to me. But if you're missing flights or you want to bring in a bunch of flights, let's say you're one of those guys who's had the same computer and same flight sim for the last 5 years and you want all of those flights, well, you can manually import them. Have fun with that. Okay, last but not least, on our tools and data section here, you've got the approach system. This is pretty straightforward and it's a lot of fun. Type in an ICAO. I always use Phoenix, you know me. Click on the airport and look at this. You've got a ton of information. You've got the ILS identifier, you've got the frequency, you've got the heading or the bearing, you've got the glide slope, you've got the current METAR. You can select your aircraft condition here. And I think there's going to be more involved with this. You can make sure the sim is not paused and is ready to fly before clicking the fly button. Now, I don't know what this does in the end. I've never used it. But maybe I'll have to try it out on my next flight, you know. So you've got some approach setup information here. It gives you some calculations, vector approach, base approach, downwind approach. You can set all of this stuff up. Looks like that one's coming soon. Right now it's a straight final approach setup. You can set up the final length, the indicated airspeed, the altitude. All of that stuff is right here. So it's a pretty neat little feature. Again, something you may or may not use, but it's just kind of cool to see that it's in there, and I wanted to highlight all that stuff, so there you have it. Alrighty guys, we got one more thing we're going to go over here before we get into the flight planning, which is pretty in-depth as well, but I hope for your sake that you don't skip this particular section because this is going to be a big help to you. Go to your My Profile. Alright, so you can see starting here on the first page, you've got your logbook. These are all your flights here. You can see that was a nasty landing there, minus 832. But all the flights that you've either flown in with SimToolKitPro, where you set up the flight the way I'll show you here in a little bit, or flights that you imported through the tools and data section, which I showed a few minutes ago. If you didn't watch that section, well, that's what you get for not watching the whole thing, right? Now you've got a map over here that shows your flights as well. You can hide airport markers, leave them on, hide ICAOs, leave them on. You can zoom the map in, zoom it out. You can hide the routes, whatever you want to do. It doesn't really matter, okay? You've also got some logbook tools down here. You can scan for missing aircraft, right? So if I've got any flights on here that don't have an aircraft on them, which it looks like there might be a couple of them. All right, so if I click that, here's all the flights I have that are missing aircraft right now. I'm sorry, no. Aircraft in logs but not in fleet. Well, I'm not. You can add them this way. We're not going to do it from here, though. You can put in the airline code. You can select the aircraft over here, and you can put it in. It's pretty straightforward. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to show you a different way to add aircraft to your fleet. So first section here is your logbook. And if you're like me, like my total distance, I've flown 16,600. I don't like that number. I need to fly at least a couple more miles. It's a lot of sixes on there. But anyway, there's my total distance right now, total hours and total flights through SimToolKitPro. Now moving right next door is your fleet tab, and this is a tab that really, if you want to get the most out of tracking your flights in SimToolKitPro, you need to make good use of this tab. All right. Another feature that I found with this is if I make sure that I use the same registrations in SimToolKitPro and in SimBrief, then when I import a flight plan from SimBrief, it automatically plugs in the aircraft that I've noted or that I've put on SimBrief. Can I get my brain to function here? All right. So listen, it's really simple. You've got a lot of information available to you here, first of all. So this is probably the airplane. Let's see, I've got four flights on this one. So this is the one I've flown the most through SimToolKitPro right now, at least I think. I don't see any with higher than 4. All right. And if I click on log, it's going to give me the logbook for that aircraft specifically. So these are all the flights that I've done in that specific aircraft. If I go back over here and I click the log for this one, you can see these are the flights that I've done with this aircraft. And that's interesting that it doesn't show the little symbol over here. I didn't show this when we were on the logbook, but if you click on a flight, you can get some more information about it. Any comments or scratch pad information that you put in there, you can get the flight map. So this was our route here. This was our vertical profile for that flight, the total distance, flight time, all the flight information you want. And then you've also got a full report. If you click on that, it's going to give you even more information, including your landing rate, which we all worry about all the time, don't we? It was with your designation runway, it gave, my brain's just not working, guys. You can see what it says. That's the runway we landed on, 17 right. That's the elevation. That was the runway length, the width, the slope, all of that stuff. That's your landing report. It's all available right there. Okay, so you can get that, and that's the next tab over, but we're not there yet. So you can get that just by clicking on any one of these and then do a full report, and it'll give you a landing report. Or you can go to your landing reports tab, which, since we've done it, we might as well look at it real quick. Click on details, and it's going to give you the landing report details for each flight. All right. So the fleet tab is absolutely a must, all right? And you can search for airframes in here if you've got a really big list. Mine's not quite big enough to worry about it yet. I did notice that I've got 2 different Atlas cargo. You know what? I just added this one. This was just to test something out. So we can actually delete that one. And then you've got up here, you've got managed fleet. All right, so this is your X-plane fleet here. You can scan the simulator for aircraft. So if I click scan, this is everything that's in my X-plane fleet right now in my simulator, not in SimToolKitPro. I would have to add it. I can do the same thing for P3D. So this is what I do when I load in a new, let's say I pick up a new livery. When I picked up the Atlas cargo, I go in here and I click on scan simulator, all right? And then these are all the aircraft that are in my P3D right now. Okay, and you can see here's all our PMDGs right here. So if I wanted to add one to the fleet, I could just add it from right here. Now, I think the only thing that I don't like about this, and this is probably because of the update, if I go, here's the Atlas Air, it says add to fleet. Well, I've already got that one in there. So if I add it, it's going to add it a second time, right? But click add to fleet, put in your airline code. If you don't know what it is, I know it's ACY for Atlas Cargo, but if you don't know, just type Atlas. Right? Hey, look, there it is, Atlas Cargo Lines, right? And you select that, put in the registration there, make sure that you've got the right airframe selected, and then choose a location for it. So KPHX as an example. You type that in, choose the airport. I never fill this out, I don't worry about it. I just make sure that I put all the same information into SimBrief when I update my fleet over there. Select OK, and you can see it popped up down here. All right, it's as simple as that, and you can do that for every single aircraft in here. I just do it for the ones that I either have or am getting ready to fly. All right, and then you've also got airframe profiles on here, and I've never messed with this. This is actually new. So import custom airframe, add an airframe type, aircraft that can be dispatched, aircraft that can't be dispatched. Again, I haven't messed with this at all. So if you want to dig in here and see what's going on with this, hey, I say go for it and have a good time. But right now I can't do anything with that. You can import a custom airframe if you've got one in here. All right, so just keep that in mind as well. And again, you know, there are probably features to this that are going to change. You can remove, edit, export aircraft. I haven't messed with this at all, and I probably won't. All right, so you can see we've got this one in here twice now. I don't want it in there. Delete it just by clicking on the little trash can, select OK, and off she goes. You can also add aircraft directly like this. So let's say I want to pick a. These are what were in that list. I'll bet you. Yeah. So let's say I wanted to add an A330-300, and then I would pick my airline code. Let's say American Airlines, because I actually have one of these, and then I would put the registration, which I don't remember what it was. It was like 127 AL or something like that. And then you pick the location. So again, let's just say it's at Phoenix. Okay. And then select OK. And there it is right there. Look at that. American Airlines A333. And I don't think I added that one yet. I don't like to add that way. I did actually. So I was close. It was November 271 AY. So I was sort of close. All right. You can put any notes on there. I think the notes are, you know what? I don't know what the notes are. It doesn't let you click on it right now. But I don't need this one obviously, so I can delete it just as easily. And there you go. So that's your fleet tab. All right, so we had already looked at the landing reports tab. No need to go over that again. And then you've got this map of visited locations, and it tells you right here, this doesn't do anything yet. So nothing to worry about here, but I'm sure ultimately what you'll have is probably similar to what you see on the map here. So, and that is everything that we have in the My Profile. The biggest thing you're going to use here is the logbook. And please, I'm telling you, make use of the fleet tab here. If you're not, well, I think you're just cheating yourself out of a better experience. That's just my opinion. Alrighty, now we're going to start getting into the good stuff here. The flight planning and the use of not only of the flight planning tools, but the use of SimToolKitPro while in flight. This is the good stuff. Now there's a lot to go over here, so I'm going to break it into sections just like I've done everything else, and you're going to see that this is one heck of a program. So let's jump over to our flight planning tab here, and you can see you've got a lot of options available to you. Now I'm not gonna go in depth on every one, but there's definitely a couple here that I want to cover really quick. First of all, let's start with generating a new flight. Click on generate a new flight. Now this links to SimBrief. Let me say that again, this links to SimBrief. So if you do not have a SimBrief account and you want to use this feature, you need to create a SimBrief account because it's going to link to it. All right. Other than that, it's very straightforward. You're going to type in your departure. So we'll type in Phoenix because that's just what I do when I'm doing this. Click on it. Let's say we're going up to Denver because why not? Aircraft. This is where having that fleet put together is going to be really important. Now, there's two things that are important about this. First of all, make sure that you have your fleet set up under the My Profile section over here, but also make sure that your fleet matches in SimBrief. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, a couple of folks have asked for some tutorials on SimBrief and on PFPX, so I may do one of those soon anyway. But for now, we're going to take our Boeing 748. If you don't have the aircraft you want to fly, you can click Add Aircraft right here. You can choose your airframe. So let's say it was that Boeing 747. If I can find it here, there we go, Boeing 748F. So you could click that, put in the airline code, put in the registration, select OK, and then you've added the airframe. It does put the airframe in your fleet, so keep that in mind. All right. ATC call sign is ACY for us. Now I've had to do this a couple of times now because I couldn't get it to work earlier because I was doing this wrong. You got two sections here, all right? You must fill this section out. So type in your airline code and your flight number, okay? And then you see how the generate flight plan lit up? Let me take that away and show you. See, it's gone. You can't use it right now. And I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong. It's because I was just putting the flight number right here. You need to put the airline code and the flight number. Put your scheduled date and departure time, what you want the flight plan format in. You've got Lido, American Airlines flight plan format. I mean, there's literally, you know, what, 20, 30 of them on here? Probably about 20 of them. All right, you got United Airlines, UAE, Southwest Airlines. These are all their individual flight plan formats. I've never even looked at those, so I might check that out one of these days. But I'm going to use the Lido format, and I'm going to use pounds. Make sure you get the flight number in there, and you see the button lights up. So when I click on this, it's going to pop up a window up here. And this window, this is to log into SimBrief. Now, I logged in already, and I selected the option to stay logged in, so I didn't have to do it again. If you haven't logged in yet, you're going to have to log in right there, and then there you go. Once it's done creating the flight plan, it takes you right to this page here. It's going to load everything in. Give it a minute to do so here because, I don't know, it's taking a while. It's just being slow. It's probably my internet being slow. I don't know. And there we go. Once it's done with its loading, you've got all your flight plan information in here. Now, there's more to this. We're not going into that yet. I just wanted to show you how that function works. So we're going to reset the plan for now, and it takes us back to our flight planning page. All right, for this next section, we're going to go through it pretty quick. We're going to look at fly an airline route. Now, there's a few options in here when you click on the tab. You've got airline routes, real flights, and my schedule. All right, so my schedule is also a tab over here. So let's just click on that real quick and let's show you how to schedule a flight from this tab. Select your departure airport. And you know I'm going to just keep picking the same one, right? Let's pick a new arrival. San Francisco. Hold on, my nose itches. There we go. Choose your aircraft. We're going to just pick the same one for now and then put in your flight number. All right. You can choose whether or not you want to repeat the flight. Am I going to fly it more than once? If you select that off, then once you fly it and you log that flight in SimToolKitPro, it'll remove it from the schedule. If you want to repeat it, it'll keep it in there. You can also add a return flight if you want. So we can say this is 2337. All right. And it's the same. It's just going to flip it for us and then select OK. And look at that. Both of them are in my schedule now. Just like that. Very simple. If you've got a lot of them in there, you can sort them based on flight number, departure, arrival, longest flight, and so on. Now, if we go up here to real flights, this is where you need to choose. This is where you would put in an actual flight. So if you had a flight number, you could put it in here and put in the departure, destination, operator, and so on. The easiest way to do this is, let's say I know there's a flight leaving LA. So let's type in KLAX. When I select that, you got to give it a second. Now, LA is probably not the best example, but it's going to load all the flights departing LAX. This is all of them, right? This is the whole schedule, real world schedule. Put in a destination airport. Oh, there we go. Phoenix, select that. Now it's going to minimize it or limit it to flights from LA to Phoenix. And there they are right there. So now if I wanted to fly a Southwest Airlines flight, excuse me, let's say I wanted to fly this guy right here. I just select that flight, and then I can say, well, I want to put it on my schedule. All right, there it is. Add the aircraft type. I think I have a 737 in here. Hey, I even have a Southwest 737. Look at that. There's the flight number right there. Do I want to repeat it? Yes or no? Select OK. Excuse me, coughing in your face some more. And guess what? It's in my schedule now. How cool is that? Okay, go back to real flights and you notice it cleared out, which is fine. It clears that cache. Or you can just do airline routes. Now, doing it this way, if you search a route, and it even tells you, like American Airlines, it says it'll take a while to render the map. If I select this, it's got to render 2,296 flights. Let's go with something that's not so busy. If I type in just cargo, it brings up a bunch of different cargo airlines, Lufthansa Cargo, Cargolux, and so on, right? Now I can just pick one of these. So I hit select. There's 234 routes. I don't know what is going on with my throat right now. And there you have it. That's all of Cargolux routes. Now I can add to my schedule from here just by clicking this guy. Bam. Add to schedule. Guess what? That's in my schedule now. Or I can fly it right now by clicking fly. Select it. And then guess where it takes me? Dispatching a new flight. We've been through this before. Select my aircraft, whatever it is. Preferably you would have a Cargolux aircraft. You can add an aircraft if you need to. You can put in your call sign. I'm just putting in generic information right now. Put in your flight number, which sometimes it puts the flight number in here for you, which is really nice, but it didn't in this case. And then generate a flight plan. And it does the same thing as when we generated a flight plan before. All right, let's go back to flight planning. So that was for flying an airline route. So just keep in mind, you can just search you can search it by airline name too. British Airways, for example. Let's say Ryanair. Okay, so if you don't know the ICAO code, RYR, you just start typing in Ryanair, and there you go. There's all of Ryanair's routes, 3,342 routes. That's an impressive number, by the way. All right, so that's how you deal with your real flights and your airline routes, and they all work together with My Schedule. All right, now you've also got VFR Planner and Random Flight, and these are not available yet. You can see it says coming in 0.6.x, which means point something, all right? The last two things we're going to look at, and then we're done messing with flight planning, and we'll show you a few more things, and then we're going to wrap this up. If you just created a flight plan in SimBrief, you don't have to use this feature here. This is how I do it. I go online, I go into SimBrief, I create a flight plan, I select the aircraft that I want to fly, and then I save the operational flight plan. Once I do that, I just close my browser window, I come in here, and I select latest SimBrief operational flight plan. Just click it, and look, it's going to load it straight away. I don't even know what flight plan is the latest one loaded right now. And it's a little slow right now. It's probably just because I've been overwhelming it by doing it over and over and over again. But give it a minute and it'll load the flight plan in for you. And so you can see that the flight plan that I have here is from Phoenix to Where does this one go to? Scroll this down. Oh, look at that, to Denver. Imagine that. So that's the latest flight plan I put together on SimBrief. It's probably because it generated a new flight plan when we used one of the other features. So keep that in mind as well. If you're going to do this, you need to go on to SimBrief and set it up. All right. Okay, so I'm going to leave this here. Actually, no. I want to show you, I think, one other feature. Yeah. I want to show you one other feature, and then we will go over the flight plan information here real quick, and then we'll get into the last bit of goodies, and then we're done. Now, maybe you're one of those folks who, like me, or like I used to be, I didn't use SimBrief, I used PFPX. You can load a PFPX flight plan in here, all right? You just click on this button, navigate to wherever your PFPX is located. So for me, it's on the C drive. I don't use it anymore, so I just threw it on here real quick for this, to be honest with you. Go in there and look, there's a Phoenix to Denver flight plan. Select open. Okay, now PFPX doesn't save SIDs and stars, right? So when it loads in here, hold on, I'm going to cough. You can select your SID and your star or not, all right? And en route is very short, but let's just say we were going to select Baldy 3. Okay, so we select that and it throws in the waypoints for it. Now we need a star. Let's pick that one, all right? Well, now we need a transition. We don't have a transition yet, do we? Okay, so let's say, you can see if you look right here, okay, here's Denver, here's the transitions. See how it lights up, right? I can literally just go over it and say, well, which one do I want to use? Which one makes the most sense here? Well, that one makes a lot. Let's use that one. Let's use the Kipper. Bam, it attaches it just like that, and there you go. All right, you can raise these back up and so on. Right, and they get out of your way and so on. And we're going to finish going over all of this here in just a minute. But once you've done all that and you're ready to go, just hit fly now. Okay, and we're going to show you what that does in just a second. Now you might be asking yourself, why do I keep going back and forth instead of just going from one thing to the next? This is so that I can easily separate it into sections. So if you're the guy who's just looking how to load a PFPX flight plan, you can jump right to that chapter and you're all set. Okay, now we're done messing around with everything. I do want to highlight one more thing. You can drag and drop your flight plan here, whether it's a text file, VFP plan file, or FMS file. However, I can't get this to work right now. So I don't know if that's a bug. I didn't look up all the bugs, but I can't get it to work right now. You can also just type in a route right here and create from route, and then you're all set. Pretty easy stuff. But for us, we're going to load the latest SimBrief flight plan here, and it'll take just a second. And there she is, all loaded in. So if this is the flight that we want to fly, we've got a lot of options available to us we want to look at here. First of all, let's look at what the flight plan shows. It shows Phoenix as the airport, runway 8 is the departure, okay? And all of this is right down here on the map, right? So if I zoom in and I highlight the end of runway 8, you see how it moves and it shows in purple. It'll show up purple right there. That's the section we're looking at. That's the runway, all right? And then I'm on to the Marble 1 departure. So first it's out to Sparky. You see how the departure highlights in purple or magenta, all right? And then it's out to Goalie, and it goes from waypoint to waypoint. Now the map might take a split second to load when you do this. You can zoom out a little further, and it's not quite as bad. Now Yotes, and then it's Yooper, and you can see that it's not highlighting any further because that's where I transition off. All right, and then I've got the T-bar 1, which is all the way up here. So it's from Yooper to Schnapps, Barrow, Lifty, and so on. And you can do this all the way down, right? It's straightforward. You don't need me to sit here and do all of these. Okay, and if you're moving up and down and you don't like that it keeps doing that, just shrink these down. I showed this already briefly. Just shrink them down. Okay, and you can also turn them off. So you can say, I don't want to see that section, or I don't want to see this section. Okay. And so it's just showing it differently, all right? There you go, and then shrink them all down. And so I've looked over my flight plan, and I like it. Let's say I don't like it. Let's say I want to add a waypoint in there, or I want to change the runway or something. I can do that right here and then update the plan, all right? It's pretty simple. I'm not even going to do it right now. I'm not going to mess with it because this is already a seriously long video, all right? You've got the Fly Now button over here. We're not going to do that yet. Let's look at the Pre-File button. If I click on this, I can pre-file with Pilot Edge, POSCON, IVAO, or VATSIM. It's going to do a pre-file for doing your flight with them. So I use the pre-file, and you guys will get an opportunity to use it if you fly on any of those as well. It's pretty straightforward though. You pre-file, and then you're going to have to open up your VATSIM or your POSCON or IVAO or whatever it is, and you're going to have to get set up in there as well. But it does pre-file it for you. You've also got the export, and this is one we definitely need to look at. Listen, when you use SimBrief, you know how you can download the operational flight plan for, say, your PMDG 777, or in this case, we're flying a PMDG 747-8, right? Okay, so I could, while I'm on SimBrief, I could download that operational flight plan, and then I can save it in the appropriate folder. Or I can just close my browser, click on export once I get to this point, and I can export for an FMS plan file. When I click on that, this window pops up. Look at how many options I have available to me. All right, so let's say it was that PMDG 747 we're flying. Well, I need to save it as a PMDG flight plan. When I click on this, it's going to open this folder. Now, once I navigate to the right folder, it's going to go back to that folder each time. All right, so I go to my P3D drive, P3D version 4, down to PMDG, which I just passed, go into my flight plans folder, 747, and I save. And there it is. And it should, well, before it was given a pop-up window. I guess it's not now. But see how this option is not, I mean, you can still click it, but see, it's already there, right? And see how it went straight to that folder this time? I can also do the wind up link. Same way, right? Does that one go in the flight plans folder? I genuinely don't know. No, it should go in the weather folder, right? Yeah. So, and it did that automatically for me. Look at that. So, you can do this for any of the aircraft that are available on here. Any one of them, okay? Now, I think this covers the bulk of them. I'm not sure if there's any that it doesn't cover. That, you know, you've got Captain Sim, Aerosoft is on here, Avalasoft if you use it, though I don't recommend it. You got the Aerosoft CRJ, Aerosoft Airbus EFB. You got the Aerosoft Airbus flight plan. You can do a PDF document. FS Labs A320 is in here. The iFly 737. All the PMDGs, Quality Wings. They're all on here. So if there's one that's missing, by all means, go into the Discord and hit up the developer and let him know. And I'm sure he'll really appreciate that, right? Okay, so that's how you export it. Saves you the hassle of downloading it and then moving it and all that stuff. You just do it right from here, guys. It's fantastic. All right, so click OK. You can also you can save it, or you can open it as a PDF. So it's opening up on my other screen right now, and see, it wants me to download it. I use this download manager. All right, so I could download it. I'm not going to do that. All right, but if you'd like to have a hard copy, it's available to you. Once you've done all that, excuse me, then just click Fly Now. Bam! There's our operational flight plan. You guys have seen this before because I put it on a bunch of my videos. So you've got your operational flight plan here. You got charts and maps on here. This is weather information. We've been over this. You've got a scratch pad where you can type information in here, like, you know, I don't know, important things like Captain, did I spell that right? No, I did not. Captain Mac Rocks, right? And that'll be saved with it. You got all your waypoint information in here as well. It gives you the latitude and longitude of each of the waypoints on your flight plan. And then, of course, you've got the operational flight plan itself, which we've gone over many times, and all those different formats. I haven't looked at any of them. This is the Lido format here. All right, and all the information, including NOTAMs and all that, is here. Now, one thing I forgot to show you is... well, you know what? I'll get to it in just a second. I'll get to it in a sec, I promise. So you've also got departure charts up here. Now, this is new. I haven't used this yet. So, but I'm looking here. So here's Phoenix. It shows all charts. Let's go to just the SIDS. Let's say we're taking the Baldy 3. Oh, look at that. So if you don't have... now, I don't know if this is linked to NAVIGRAPH or not. I think it probably is. That would be my guess. Let's zoom it out a little bit so we can see and rotate it. If I had to guess, I'd say this is linked to NAVIGRAPH, but I'm not seeing NAVIGRAPH listed on here like it normally is, so that's kind of interesting. Normally it would say NAVIGRAPH on here, but it's not. So I don't know where these charts are coming from, but and I don't know how many of it would be available or where they're available, but that's pretty cool stuff, right? So like there's your airport diagram and so on. So by all means, give this a view and see how it works out for you. It is saving them like on a clipboard here, so I can go right back to the ones that I already had, or I can close them out and get rid of them. All right, so there's your departure charts. Here's the arrival charts, and then This is your alternate or diversion charts here. So that's our alternate airport. All right. So it's straightforward what's there. What I don't know for certain is where these charts come from. That's what I'm not certain of. These may be just sourced online. You know, it may be that these aren't available in certain areas, stuff like that. So just keep that in mind. I highly recommend that you have NAVIGRAPH charts anyway. It's a great program and it works really well. Okay, back over to our flight summary here. And we've got some basic information about Phoenix right here. It's got our airport elevation, runway that we plan on taking, the length of that runway, density altitude right now, transition altitude, the heading of the runway, the slope, and the deviation. All right, all that's right there. This is supposed to be our load for departure. That's based on this flight plan. Here's all of our comm frequencies for Phoenix, and then here's our Phoenix weather right now. Now this used to have a METAR tab on it, but instead that's right up here right now. If I go down here to Denver, it's interesting. So it's showing me the Phoenix METAR up here. I wonder. No, I'm sorry. That's not showing me a METAR. It's showing me the route, isn't it? I'm a doofus. Don't worry about me. All right. You've also got a status bar. This will show how far along you are on the flight. We're obviously not in flight right now. There's your Denver radios, and there's your weather information for Denver as well. So it used to say METAR and TAF were two different tabs. Now you just click on weather and you get all your weather information. All right, so that's everything that's on your flight summary and also the departure, arrival, and alternate charts. Now, there's a few more things we need to go over. Now, before we bail away from this page, you have a flight controls button up here. If you click on that, you can divert the flight, cancel a diversion, edit the flight, cancel the flight, fix a phase of the flight, or load a new operational flight plan. We're not going to go through all of those. They're pretty straightforward, and since we're not in flight, it wouldn't make sense to use the diversions or anything, and we've already seen editing a flight, and canceling would just cancel your current flight and you'd restart your flight planning. All right, what I want to do now is I want to look down here at our tabs down below. Now we've already seen the SkyVector tab here, right? And if you're not familiar with SkyVector, well, this is not a tutorial on SkyVector. All right, but if you just click on a tab, it pops that tab up. If you click on it again, it puts it back down and it shows you your operational flight plan. The two tabs we're going to use the most are going to be NAVIGRAPH and Active Sky. So when you click on NAVIGRAPH, if you have not already logged into NAVIGRAPH, it's going to prompt you to do so here. Log in and select to remember my decision to give permission, and most of the time you won't need to log back in, but every once in a while it still logs me out. Now you can see this is an old flight that's up here, but if I click on new flight from SimBrief, it'll pop up a little button that'll show your current flight plan, and then you just select that and it puts your flight plan in here. Now, I didn't show the button because it's being slow for some reason. I don't know if it has to do with the update or my internet or what. So I just went ahead and picked from my flight list here. I just grabbed an old flight that's from Phoenix to Denver. All right. So you can do that. You can do a new flight. This is the NAVIGRAPH charts desktop is what this is. It's just integrated into SimBrief, or not SimBrief, SimToolKitPro, and this is not a tutorial on that, obviously. So we'll just close that out, and then you got, but the point is you got all your charts available here, right? And that's the point I'm driving at. Again, this is not a tutorial on how to use NAVIGRAPH. If you guys are interested in a tutorial on how to use NAVIGRAPH charts, let me know and I'll put one together for you. But the nice thing about this and the way it integrates into SimToolKitPro is I've just got, it's available right here, plain and simple. All right, so I can click on my NAVIGRAPH tab anytime I need a chart, and I've got my NAVIGRAPH desktop right here integrated into SimToolKitPro. Same thing for Active Sky. Now here's the deal with Active Sky. Right now, if you don't have a flight plan put into Active Sky, then all it's going to do when you refresh this window is show this top portion here. All right, so you need to put your flight plan into Active Sky. You can hit refresh. It'll refresh the weather for you, and you've got all your waypoint information, and all of that is already in there. And this is your typical Active Sky window. You can refresh the page, set custom weather. You can do all that stuff from right here. But anytime I want to grab my weather briefing, I just grab it right here from Active Sky, and I'm ready to rock and roll. And those just integrate right into the program. Also, if you want, whoops, get back. If I want, I can type in KPHX, and I can grab the METAR by just clicking right here, and it gives me the current METAR for Phoenix. All right, so that's how you interact with your flight plan. It's very simple. Once you're done with your flight, you're going to click on complete flight, put in any comments or anything like that. It's going to save the information for you. If you want to save your scratch pad information, leave that box checked, select OK, and it'll save the flight. We're not going to do that because we didn't actually complete the flight. Alrighty folks, the last thing I want to show you real quick, and then we are going to wrap this one up, is down here at the very bottom. You can make this full screen if you want. Just click on that and then my little things won't pop up. It's kind of the same as putting it always on top. Click on this link to get support on Discord. So if you click that, my Discord window's popping up on the left hand side. If you haven't already become a member of their Discord, you can fill in your information on there and continue. And that's where the support is taking place. So if you're having issues, definitely go to their Discord. You're going to get a lot of help over there. A lot of folks are really doing a great job of helping folks out over there. So click on that Discord link. That'll get you all set up. I'm not sure what this idle is. I've never used it before. I just now clicked on it. Doesn't seem to do anything. This tells you how much CPU and RAM it's actually using. So you can see it's not using a whole lot. Even if I pop up my NAVIGRAPH charts, you can see the RAM and CPU usage is minimal for this program, which is really awesome. And then you've also got your cycle information here. If you're linked to NAVIGRAPH and you're updating your cycle information, then that should show the current cycle. You've got the time available and then what simulator you're connected to right there. Okay, I do want to reiterate, if you're having issues, click on the Discord link. Join the Discord server. You will get support over there. Most of the questions have already been answered. Excuse me. And if they haven't, you can ask the question. You can report bugs, all of that stuff over on Discord. Great group of folks over there. The developer, Dan, is very active in the Discord, and it's just fantastic. So I want to close this out by saying thank you to Dan and to everybody who's involved in creating SimToolKitPro, in developing it and updating it. You guys are doing an amazing job. I really appreciate it. This tool, excuse me, I cannot clear my throat here. This tool has been fantastic for me. It has absolutely changed the way I do videos for YouTube, and you guys have seen that. If I don't get my throat cleared here pretty soon, I'm going to be pretty annoyed. It's a great program, guys, and it's free. So in the end, if you don't like it, if it doesn't work out for you, you just delete it and you're done. All right? So I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this. I hope that it was helpful for you. This was a very long tutorial. It was quite in-depth, and I hope that you get some good use out of it. If you haven't already done so, please take the opportunity to smash the subscribe button and click on the little bell so you get notifications, and share it with your friends. Tell them come over and check out the channel, and tell them to check out my voice. Sounds ridiculous right now. Alright, I managed to clear my throat off camera there for a second. My voice was starting to sound absolutely ridiculous. Tell your friends to come over and check out the channel. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. It lets me know that I did a good job on it. And keep in mind that for this particular tool, as the large updates continue, not for all the little ones, I'm not going to hit every little update, but as the large updates continue, I will either do an update to this video or I will just do a new video altogether. And we will be as right as a spring rain. So that's it. That's all for now, folks. As always, until next time, keep the blue side up unless otherwise instructed by ATC. God bless you guys and have an absolutely wonderful day.